What's up, everybody? It's your boy. You can see on the screen in the little corner, Hitboy hasn't spoken to Nas in 3 years. Oh, we gonna get into it. Not this video though, but best believe. tochiRTA. Oh boy, I just want to see. I'm waiting for what the grifters are gonna say, because I might have to call out a couple of people because I can't wait. I'm waiting for people to expose themselves, not just Hitboy, but others. Anyways, we're gonna get into it. It's Busta Rhymes Day, so since it's about Busta, let's go. To my dragon, baby, stop whining. Influence him. Classic. Baby, stop whining. Must even influence still. To my dragon, baby, stop whining. I see my influence still hit you with my ultraviolet. Skin cancer causing laser beam flow, then cause a riot. Oh shit, I'm gonna give you more and more. You can watch me rap from the inside your nine regions. Cold-blooded flow that got you motherfucking freezing. You must find your style. Identify with your own profile. All right. Okay. You know, Busta Rhymes working with Dilla. This one is an interesting one because obviously Dilla and Bus go way back, right? And they go back to The Coming, Busta's first album. Again, Busta Rhymes is kind of a son of the native tongues, right? So, like, he comes right from sort of the Jungle Brothers, Q-Tip, Leaders, right? Again, this is what I'm trying to say about how that movement, those guys, they were really ahead of the curve in their own way. It's very street, very dope, but it's not like they were necessarily talking about packing a gat, but they just made great hip-hop music because hip-hop has a lot of dimensions. So something to think about. Now, the point is, I do find it interesting that Busta is doing this Dillagence too, right? And I want to know, of course, I don't know if any interviewers actually covered this. I saw the New York Times interview that they did, which was trash. They sounded, the guys talking sounded even more juvenile than your typical YouTuber, which was crazy to me, but that's beside the point. And of course, you know, I can't blame, you know, in a way, that's why sometimes I can't blame these vultures who feel like they can just come in and talk whatever they want about hip hop, because Busta's granting interviews to these people, right? At the end of the day, he's not sitting down and talking with people like me. Now, I'm a nobody. I'm not saying that you got to talk to me, but talk to people who are hip hop fans. Right now, to be fair, he's also doing that. I'm sure he's doing the Breakfast Club and things like that. But there are people online. Okay, I'm probably the savviest hip hop head on the internet. I mean, I would say on YouTube. There's me and Jaquan, and that's kind of it, I would say. But the point is, talk to hip hop people. They'll give you more interesting interviews. But anyway, that's an aside. The point is, Busta Rhymes is doing this album for Dilla and kind of in the remembrance of Dilla. And I respect it. I mean, I think that obviously Busta and Dilla made some decent music together. But what I find interesting, and this is where I would have loved the hip hop take on this, is in my honest opinion, I don't think that Busta and Dilla's relationship in terms of the beats were that great, right? I mean, if you really look at it, yes, Dilla has always been a part of Busta's catalog. But if you really look at those beats, those weren't really very good beats for Busta in general. They were, first of all, they weren't even very good beats, I would argue. They were kind of some of J Dilla's weaker beats. No disrespect to J Dilla. Every great producer has weaker beats. It is what it is, right? So I think that's fascinating. Okay, Still Shining, fantastic, right? Great beat. So Hardcore, also great beat. But again, these are not the greatest beats on those albums either, right? Clearly, the woo-has of the world, and Everything Remains Raw, and the other beats, close your, put your hands where my eyes can see. These were way better beats than what Dilla was offering. Again, no disrespect to Dilla. It's almost like when Dilla really hit his stride, Busta wasn't really working with him. And if he did work with him, like for example on Genesis, it was like the beats were just not that great. So I started to think, and I was like, is it just a selection thing? What's the story behind that exactly? Because it's true that Busta and Dilla go way back. But it's surprising that I think the beats themselves weren't the greatest. And Busta's greatest songs are not made by Dilla, if we're being honest, in general. Again, Still Shining, dope song. certainly in a list of great Busta songs, but not in that upper echelon that we know Busta for. And maybe that's because there's something about Busta's voice and the way that he channels his voice. Obviously, voice is an instrument that maybe is a little too rah rah. No pun intended for Dilla, right? Because Dilla is kind of a more of a subdued, like his beats, even as ill as they were, obviously they all banged and they bumped, they almost kind of fit a more of a subdued flow. Again, if I'm making this argument, correct me in the comment section if there's rappers you think that had a much more sort of stronger Brooklyn type of flow and it fit. This goes back to my sort of, and I've said this in previous, this is a tangent, but I've said this in previous videos where, Brooklyn and Queens are obviously arguably the best boroughs to ever do rap music, right? Shout out to the Bronx. I mean, no disrespect to the Bronx. But obviously, if you were to take 80% of great hip hop, it probably comes from Brooklyn or Queens, right? And I think that there's something about that Brooklyn and Queens energy that's very different, right? And I would argue that Brooklyn and Bronx have a similar energy, and Queens and Harlem have a similar energy, right? And this is a tether telling you this. But Queens and Harlem, obviously, fairly close together. But Queens is very kind of relaxed, very sort of ethereal, right? That it's wild, it's weird, and more intelligent, I'm gonna say, quote unquote. Again, more vocabulary, but sort of like, that chilling in the cut, you don't know what's up type of vibe. Right? Queens and Harlem have that. Obviously, Harlem is very stylish and things like that too. And I would argue that Bronx and Brooklyn is very, like the way that they rap is very like in your face, raw. Every word is clear. The way KRS, right? Bronx energy, right? The way J raps, very clear. They don't try to get too caught up in vocabulary like that necessarily. You're not going to get that sort of Queens shifty vibe. It's very like, I came in the door like Rakim, Brooklyn, right? And so my point is, I would argue that Jay Dilla's beats are probably would fit more of a Queens, Harlem type of vibe, which is why ultimately it's such a shame that Nas and Dilla didn't work together, because I think Nas and Dilla could have really, I think those sounds would have meshed very well. Okay, anyway, so the first Dillagence, because I do remember when Busta Rhymes came out with the first Dillagence, but to be real with you, I think it was pretty skippable. I heard it, but it didn't make any noise. And so it was kind of like, okay, you're doing Dillagence too. Like the first one didn't make any noise, if we're being real. The only song that I heard, I think someone played once anywhere, was Taking What's Mine, which was okay. It's not, again, this is not a song that lit the world on fire on any level. So it came and then it went, very much so. So when he was like, oh, I'm doing Dillagence too, it was like, okay, I mean, this is not no classic mixtape that you're following up. It was just a mixtape that came and went, frankly. Now, my overall thoughts on this project. Well, I have to say that number one, obviously, we start off with the beats. I don't think the beats are very good, unfortunately. So these are obviously leftovers. Man, I wouldn't even be surprised if some of these beats weren't even made by Dilla and they just slapped Dilla's name on it. I think hip hop is that fucking shady. I will come back to that. But the point is, these are obviously D tier J Dilla beats, right? And again, every producer has the D tier stuff that they didn't get a chance to finish, right? Because that's the problem with unfinished stuff. And look, I'm not saying that I don't want to hear what Dilla's stuff unfinished sounds like. Of course, I'm curious because he's a phenomenal producer, one of the best to ever do it. But I don't know if I necessarily want to hear an album of unfinished stuff, right? Really, right? Because ultimately, they're not finished. The beats are not very good. So obviously, I'm not a fan of this project. The beats are not good across the board. But the other thing that is obviously very noticeable and very grating is Busta Rhymes' voice. And I say this with all due respect because I love Busta. I really do. I think he's one of the greatest rappers ever. I've been saying this shit. Now everybody is going to be like, oh yeah, Busta Rhymes is top 10. But again, I know how he peep, dick riders, frauds operate. because they used to hate on Busta and pretend like he wasn't up there with the greats. He's always been up there with the greats. Again, I talked about this. I've done videos on Busta. Woo-ha, by the time he made Woo-ha, he was already one of the greatest rappers. You could argue, right? I mean, again, he just proved himself. And a lot of it is consistency, just making great, great shit. So Busta has a great rapping voice, right? One of the best. And obviously his style, his flow, his creativity, all that's unmatched. But the problem is that his voice is shot. And that's a big issue. Because what do I always tell you? The number one thing a rapper brings to the table is their voice. Okay? Guru, mostly the voice. Right? I mean, come on. This is basic. This is hip hop 101. So if your voice is shot, which is the most important thing that a rapper brings to the table, it's the musical instrument that fits onto the beat, which is music, because at the end of the day, we are listening to music. We're not listening to bars. You can't listen to bars. You are listening to music. Okay? The point is, if the voice is shot and the voice doesn't fit with the music, then the music is not good. That's just the bottom line. Okay? Sorry. This is why, as I don't mean to take, stray shots at, 38 Special and others. But again, if your voice is trash to me, like a Kendrick, a Conway, if your voice is boring, you can never be a great rapper. You just can't be. It's not possible, because rapping is really about training your voice as a vocal instrument to be able to fit on the beat. I don't think rapping is for everybody. I think it's actually for a very select few. I've always taught this. But if you decide that you really want to rap and your voice isn't necessarily the greatest, then the point is you need to train your voice to become great. And it's possible. Jay did it. Others have done it. You can train your voice, but that comes from real love and passion for the art form, really spending your time hearing your voice in different ways, having people critique it, say, hey, maybe try to say it this way. And then you can actually become pretty good. But again, it's training. It's not something that is just going to come to you. And just because you so-called have bars and you do songs with Coogee Rap that I should care. I'm not going to give a shit. Again, you can let the heap casuals, you can let them care. But I am not going to give a fuck. All right. So let's look at the track listing here for Dillagence. I have to say that this was entirely too long, of course. When I first opened it, I was like 19 tracks. I was like, oh, but it was just right on the edge. Because the scary number for me is 20, right? I mean, 19 is pretty scary, but once it hits 20 and above, I'm like, but too many tracks. And most of these, obviously, I don't even think were worthy of release on any level. Some of them could have been okay with a couple of tweaks, but we'll get into it. I'm just going to go track sort of by track, if you remember. So, you know what I should play first? I'm not going to play all these songs because obviously, why would I, right? They're not good. But let's start off with Entry. Yeah, let's start here. And Entry has right away, I think, tells you the problem with this album, okay? Because remember when I was talking to you about the voice being shot?
Holy smoking black bulges about to do it again. McDonald's out of coal and leave you with jam. Emphatic, erratically master the logic dramatically. How I feel a capacity. This shit is so catastrophic.
Don't. I heard that and I was like, oh my God, this guy's voice was shot. Okay. I remember as I come back, you know what I'm saying? Like, this guy's voice is shot. That thing sounds like. I put up here Bowser Jr. The Dragon is, Bus has been known as the Dragon. I think it's time to retire that Dragon shit, okay? Your voice isn't there. I say this respectfully, again, out of love, but it was goofy. It first of all, there was no lead up to it. It just came and it was like, this is not good. So yes, and this beat sucks. So again, you're talking about a song that's just not very good at all. Watch the Dragon. Now, we'll get to the best beat on the album. And the thing is, these guys, they have to know. They know that these beats are not good. You know how I know that they know? Because when they choose the singles that they're going to release, they pick the ones with the best beats, right? Spazzz is the best beat on this whole, the first beat of Spazzz is the best beat on this entire album. By far, actually. In fact, if y'all hip hop heads, because I know y'all are real, y'all really know your shit. If you can find, because I've heard this beat before. I know I've heard this beat before. The question is where? Because I almost thought that it was an Elzhi record. When I first heard it, I was like, someone rapped on this before. Like, obviously, like 2 decades ago. It was one of those beats floating around. I think, again, I'm getting up there in age. so maybe. But I do think that this was spit on before by someone, either Elzhi or Lil Brother or some shit like that, on some mixtape, before Busta got to it. But anyway, clearly the best beat on this album. Let's hear this. And I like this beat a lot. This is Dilla.
Yeah. Started off, that's wondering who's that. Bust rhymes, reincarnate in a boom bap, big powerful blow. I should probably move back, take notes, study my shit, school a new jack. Look, this what you do while I give you the new crack, peep. How I bang them and throw another loose stack.
You see, a lot of hip hop again has that sort of stuttery. That's what makes hip hop cool. It's the manipulation, right? Remember, I keep talking about this. Anyways, I love this beat. This is the best beat on the album by far. And what I thought was so fascinating was when he switched it up and switched those other 2 beats. Those other 2 beats are trash, respectfully. I thought they were like leftover Dilla beats, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, those are not so good, even though they had different vibes. Only to find out, I think on IG, that in fact, one of those beats, the second beat I think was Knots, and the third beat was by Kev Brown. Now, respect to Knots and respect to Kev Brown, because they're both dope. I like Knots a lot, and I do like Kev Brown, right? But those are not their strongest beats, okay? Those beats are weak. And you can just, the quality difference immediately is so obvious. Again, to me, right? Maybe, and probably to y'all as well, because y'all, my audience, y'all love this rap shit. So I do think it's interesting how it's like all packaged together. People are like, oh, that beat's ill. It's not. Like, those 2 beats are nowhere near the quality of the first one. And respectfully, Dilla as a producer is on a different level than Knots, who is on a different level than Kev Brown. Again, I say this respectfully to both those brothers, right? Because they have, Kev Brown's Albany beat is fire. And that, I remember that from college days and shit like that. So, yeah. And then Knots obviously has made some great shit. Everybody rise! Knots has made some great shit. But Dilla is on a different level. Anyway, the point is that this is the best beat. They know it's the best beat, which is why they must know, I'm assuming, or Busta's people or Busta himself must know which of these beats is trash or not as great and which ones are actually at least somewhat listenable. So, yeah, this is the best song. If you've heard Spazzz, I don't think you need to hear a single record on this. And I hate to say it that way, but that's kind of where it ends for me. Now, if you're curious, I would say there's maybe like one other song, and I'll get to it, that I think it's not great, but with a few edits, if Dilla was still alive or something like that, or a great producer could have done a couple of edits and made it really strong, stand out. And that is, I think it's literally the very next track, isn't it? Yeah, Back Pain, Chest Pain. I thought that this was actually a fairly decent beat. Let me play this. I thought this was actually like, I was listening, I don't remember the beat, which is not good, because I heard this album 2 days ago, yesterday. And if I don't remember the beat, if I don't have this like immediate compulsion to re-listen to the record over and over again, it's not a record that is going to stand out to me personally. But this beat is actually okay.
Hold me down, hold me down, hold me down, hold me down. I'm about to give you that shit that'll cause a back pain, chest pain, head pain. Look, you see the target is the top, now let's climb another mountain. I smack shit around to the point you turn idiots.
This is different. This is decent. I think it's got a dope bounce. again, I think Dilla, if Dilla was still alive, he would have added he would have sprinkled something. He would have made it a little less repetitive in a way. He would have added just to sprinkle a little bit more flavor, and it would have really shined, I think, as a beat. But I think it's actually quite a decent beat. I wonder what the comments are here. This is the hardest song he has made in a long time. I mean, I don't know about that, but it's certainly one of the hardest. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Been waiting for this for years since the snippet. Oh, wow. How old was the snippet? I didn't realize this snippet's been killing me for years. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is definitely, I mean, this and Spazzz are definitely the best beats on the album. Like, hands fucking down. So, that was okay. Sorry, Bus. I love you. You know that. Look, I've never met Bus. I've seen Bus live. I've seen Bus on stage while I was living in Brooklyn, and I've certainly seen Bus up close, but I've never actually interacted with the brother. But, again, this guy's a legend, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to Spliff Star. Those guys, they've made great shit, So I could never, even if I'm harsh on on recent stuff, obviously it's just me being honest about how I feel about whatever new recent music they're making, because they are fucking legends over, several times over.
But when you work hard, it pays off. Busta, you have been remarkable.
Busta.
I love you how I love my Sicario. Makes me proud. Extremely important to make sure that we condition.
Okay, I have to get at you for this because did you really think you were gonna just do Love Is all over again and we wouldn't notice? The moment I heard this beat, I was like, this is just a whack version of Love Is by Common. If you guys have heard Love Is, you know what I'm talking about, right? Classic beat that Dilla did. Love is beautiful. It's a great beat. Fantastic record, right? And so, again, did he think that he could, is this for the New York Times audience? Because this beat is freaking fire. But the royalty version or whatever that's on the new Dillagence, that beat is trash. And again, do you see, this is actually probably a good example of how sometimes an idea can be there or a beat can be almost there, but not quite there. Listen to the royalty beat. Clearly there's something there, but then compare it to the Love Is beat, and then you're like, ooh, the Love Is beat just shines more. Let me play Love Is, fuck it. Let's go. You just hear the difference, man, right? And this is what we're talking about. It's not enough to just have a beat. The whole thing has to work. And then even this, whatever, I don't know if it's strings that come in at the end. Again, this is fucking Dilla shit. Compare this beat and royalty. Similar beats, but this is way better. Okay? So again, this stuff is important. It's not just to have an old beat, but it's okay, can we make it good? If you're going to work with J Dilla's unfinished shit, please find producers that are at least talented enough to be able to hear these things, right? I'm here, you can email me, but fuck, don't use me. Just use somebody who's talented, who can sit there and be like, yeah, you know what? But Dilla would have, we can add a little more flavor here. This beat's a little, this is unseasoned chicken right now. Let's season it, right? You can't just put it out, right? All right. Now, the next song on here that I wanted to talk about briefly is This Woman. Oh boy. Again, when I saw this, I have to say I was disappointed as hell. But this is actually low-key one of the wackest songs on this album. Which is fucking crazy to say because obviously it's got that kind of neo-soul vibe, whatever. But everything about this fucking video and song is fucking boring. The video is fucking dull as shit, right? Look at the model. The model even looks bored out of her fucking mind.
We love you, D'Angelo.
dead stare, that shit's crazy. And I'm sure she's a cutie. You know what I'm saying? But that's a dead stare if I've ever seen it. Fuck. Anyway, this was lifeless bullshit. And in a way, I was like, man, Neo Soul is dead. And of course, D'Angelo, again, you're talking about a legend, but this was not good. Okay, I don't know if he was waste. Anyways, let me not speak ill of the dead, as they would say. But he sounds like he was out of it when he was spitting these vocals, or just playing around. Because at the end of the day, right, these guys, they play around, and this is all cutting room floor shit, which is fine. That's you got to play around to make great shit, right? Sometimes it's just whatever, but it's there to help you generate the better idea. That's why cutting room floor stuff is not good, right? It's cutting room floor for a reason. So this was not good at all. The next song on here, she was trash. She was super trash. Drugs. This beat wasn't good either. But I have to say, when I heard this beat, was it just me, or did this sound like some Nujabes type shit? Like immediately I was like, oh my God, like this gives me Nujabes vibes. And J Dilla and Nujabes have the same birthday. I think they died within the same month or some shit, some wild shit like this, right? And I even wonder, I'm like, did Dilla know of Nujabes? I was wondering, stuff like that. I wonder if he knew about Nujabes. I'm pretty sure Nujabes knew about Dilla, because obviously Nujabes is not now he's known in death and things like that. And Nujabes was talented, superb, but Dilla was obviously the more notable producer. And you can tell that even that the vibe that Nujabes had, that sort of, again, I don't want to, relaxed, loungy, kind of cool beats, lo-fi. I mean, again, that's Pete Rock shit. That's Pete Rock Dilla shit. So I'm sure that he knew who Dilla was, right? But anyway, I thought it was again, this is one of those beats with a little bit of editing and sort of, just tweak it a bit. It could have been a great beat.
Don't do drugs. No. Yeah. Don't do it. Hey, yeah. Don't do it. Hey, yeah. Turn my overall up a little bit, Uncle Ricky. Yeah.
That, like, I don't know what instrument is that, trumpet or something like that. But again, that's sort of like the kind of thing that I would expect from Nujabes. Like if you guys have ever listened to Modal Soul, this is actually a pretty good album, man. I haven't heard this in years, but I used to play the shit out of this. In fact, Nujabes Metaphorical Music was like, I want to say 2000 and whenever that came out, maybe 2005. That year, I used to play the crap out of that fucking tape. It was just great background music to clean to and just relax and stuff like that. Yeah, this sounds like some sort of Light on the Land, like the kind of stuff that Nujabes would have made, right? So, Metaphorical Music. Oh, this came out in 2003. Yeah, you see, I didn't hear Metaphorical Music until after Samurai Champloo, and I saw Samurai Champloo when it came out in 2004, right? Around that time. And then I was like, I went back and was like, oh, I really like this. And so I was really looking forward to Modal Soul. I heard Modal Soul when it came out. Anyway, so that's an aside. Rest in peace to both of them, man. Dilla and Nujabes, talking talented people. The next song on here was Story of the Old Man. This was trash. He should have absolutely, this is, skip this Roz Cloud. This was terrible, okay? This was terrible. Run Him Down sucked. Lay Down, T3. Now, shout out to T3. I was very excited to see T3 on this, and T3 does the Slum Village kind of. It's almost like sometimes when you listen to them rap, it's like they're like popping, And I love that. I've always been more of a popping fan than a locking fan, right? In terms of the dance. But I love them both, obviously. But, popping is just more interesting to me. Sort of like kind of weirder. I don't know. I just have always been more into popping. But the point is that Slum Village have that, that kind of flow a little bit. And I liked it. I mean, I think that T3's voice is still somewhat intact. And, I mean, obviously, lyrically, it wasn't crazy like that. But, he still said some shit like, I'll show you something I thought was kind of funny, where he says, "This authentic shit, the click that missile, and I'm the sensei of this pencil, evidently." It's like, it's like that stutter thing that they always do, and I thought that was pretty ill. The other thing I thought was hilarious is when he started off the verse with frames as Cartier, and I was like, man, what's it with Detroit niggas and Cartier? Like, I didn't know this was a thing, obviously, until Danny Brown made the song about Cartier, but I guess maybe this is the Detroit thing. So shout out to Danny Brown. So moving on. Okay, the next song on here is Wait For You, which I have to say is absolute trash because it's Big Sean, and Big Sean is absolute trash. Okay, he knows he's trash. I mean, he literally knows that people don't like his music, and that's why he starts off talking about haters. He's a hater. That's what a hater does. The haters are obsessed with haters, right? Like, I don't wake up in the morning and think about haters, right? If I'm rapping and no one's heard of me or heard from me in a fucking minute, right? The first thing I'm not going to talk about is some haters. Who fucking cares about some haters? Just fucking rap. But anyways, that was a bit of, this is a hard shot, but I don't like Big Sean's flow. I just think his flow he raps like a valley girl, like he's twirling his hair on some, I don't know. It's corny to me. The next song is Kingpin. Now, this was the best verse on this entire shit, in my opinion. I mean, Luda's voice. He's still the best sounding person on this entire album. His voice is still intact. I just wish he'd get on better beats. I actually think that Luda, if he had the right beats today, could probably drop a great album because his voice is still intact. Shout out to Luda. Again, Luda, one of the great rappers, certainly a son of Busta Rhymes, but a son in a good way. I mean, this is the whole point. You take the parameters, you inspired by people who've done great shit, and then you make it your own. You take it in a different direction, right? Luda was clearly a Busta Rhymes fan, but he took it in like an Atlanta type of vibe, right? I mean, it's dope and it's unique, right? Anyway, so I love Luda. I've always liked Luda, and I think that Luda's voice is pretty good on here. And let's see here. We got How You Want It. How You Want It could have been a better beat if Dilla, again, worked on this. I think the chorus, the beat kind of changed a bit during the chorus, and I think that was pretty decent. But again, still cutting room floor. And then we have Love and War with the corny anti-Semite Talib Kweli. Okay, now, Kweli's rapping is terrible, obviously. Talib Kweli is really, I hate to say this because I own Talib Kweli's first album, and I like Talib Kweli. I still like his music, the stuff that he released before. I think it still holds up. I think, what was the name of that damn album? The first one, Reflection Eternal. I think some of those songs still hold up. Absolutely. Talib Kweli has some talent, but he comes across as a hateful dude. And obviously he's washed, right? I mean, let's just be honest, right? He sounds washed, and that's why he's riding the Palestine train. It's it's like the Palestine train is for anyone who's washed. It's like either you were untalented to begin with, because you'll notice the most untalented people in general are on the Palestine train. So it's either you were always fucking untalented and you're jealous and envious, and that's why you're like Jews, right? Or you had some talent at some point, but now you're washed. Or your talent was probably minimal, or it was okay, it was there, but it wasn't like superb. And now you're washed and you're looking for attention. And how are you going to get some attention? Off the back of the Jews. It is what it is. And that's essentially what, Talib Kweli's rapping here. I didn't even listen to the verse. Now, let me look at this on paper, because as I was listening to his, corny voice, I just kind of like skipped away. I was like, well, I'm good, I don't know if I want to necessarily listen to all of this. Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about love. So there's no lyrics here. Don't worry about it. It's not important, okay? Now, we get to Talk Your Shit. Talk Your Shit is a good beat, but I'm going to say with a disclaimer here. It's a good interlude beat. It's not a good rapping beat, right? It's a good beat, sort of like hey, you know what? Right before a better beat kicks in for the actual song, you have that in the background. To rap on it as a whole is kind of boring, right? But it is one of the better beats on the album. So I can understand why Wayne decided to be on it. Thank goodness they didn't put that silly blue man, whatever thing, CG blue guy in the This Woman video. That would have absolutely ruined it, I'm sure. But they probably thought about it though. Even though, again, the video was sleepy as fuck. Yeah, this never made any sense. But the point is, this beat is, it's okay, right? Listen to it.
Me bag heavy in every town I lock up, like loaves of bread jumping out the toaster when I pop up again because my stock's up. These bitches get their rocks up with the stick, hope they Facebook and fill their inbox up. You niggas.
It's not wild enough. I think that if I was to have manipulated this, I would have given it a little bit more of a spin, you know. But the idea is there, and again, like I said, it's a good interlude beat. It's okay, but you know, it's nothing that's gonna rock your socks off. But of course. Your boy Wayne is on it. Now, you guys know what I think about Lil Wayne. I've always said that Lil Wayne is a trash rapper. And walk with me here. Let's listen to some shit together, okay? Because he proves it literally so quickly to me.
Tochi, go ahead and talk to him while you pass me the last.
Tochi.
Swish and roll tight, click roll tighter. I wave my red flag like a fucking bullfighter. Yeah, bitch.
And then I wanted to stop listening. Now, what is it, Tochi, that you didn't like about this exactly? Well, I'll tell you exactly what it is. Hey, Nas. Swish and roll tight, click roll tighter. Okay, it's not a great bar, but it's fine. I wave my red flag like a fucking bullfighter. That's why I was just like, this nigga sucks. You know why? It's the fucking part. Now, you're going to say, people rappers swear. It has nothing to do with that, right? Obviously, I listen to hip-hop music, and I swear, I've probably swore in this video already many times. But swears that are just thrown in, that are used as filler, show a lack of intelligence. And this is a classic example of just throwing in the word fucking as filler because it doesn't need to be there. In fact, I can think of a better word here. So, even sucking would have been better. But the point is, the problem with using the word fucking, right? Fucking is an adverb. It's an intensifier, okay? It's there to intensify something. So if someone says, man, this nigga is fucking dumb, right? The fucking part is the intensifier. So it's not just dumb, but he's fucking dumb. That's like next level dumb. So it works, it makes sense, okay? When you say the song is a fucking bullfighter, it doesn't make any sense because he's already a bullfighter, right? So a bullfighter is a noun, okay? And it's like, what are you intensifying here exactly? He's a bullfighter. Now, if you were like in a, let's say, I don't know how to say it, like if there was a joking kind of way where you're like, man, that fucking bullfighter over there, right? That's different, right? But to use it in a simile, because this guy says, I wave my red flag like a, so now I'm listening for a simile, right? To add fucking there is dumb because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add anything. In fact, it detracts from it because it feels like filler. And the truth is, bro, all this nigga needs to do is go on fucking Rhyme Zone and figure out a better fucking word. For example, I think I was looking at this and I looked at, what was the other one that I would have put up? Cunning. If he said cunning bullfighter or stunning bullfighter, now we're talking. Do you understand? Come on, man. Work with me here. I wave my red flag like a stunning bullfighter. Stunning makes sense because stunning is kind of a description of the bullfighter. Do you get what I'm saying? Or cunning. Cunning is a description of the bullfighter. It's not just a bullfighter, but a cunning one. But a fucking bullfighter means nothing. You get what I'm saying? And this is the guy that y'all tell me is the fucking GOAT. I can't, man. Anyways, the rest of this I don't even think I listened to. Yeah, Big Hog, Blue Lights, Big Dog, Roof Twice, I'm the Crap, 2 Dice, Tunchi. Moving on. And then lastly, I want to talk about the song What We Got in Common, featuring Common. As soon as I heard the beat kick in, I was like, oh, no, what the fuck happened to Common, man? This shit sounds sleepy as fuck. This is the hallmark sleepy shit that Common's been rapping on for, damn, I don't know, like 2 decades at this point. I miss the raw Common, man. I mean, I know like those days are gone. And I'm not talking about, can I borrow $1? Like, I'm talking about 999, that like, even like Water for Chocolate Common, right? This sleepy shit, I'm not into it. But I do think it's nice to have Common on this tape because Common apparently was very close to Dilla. I mean, Common has said this himself, right, in many interviews, and there's many receipts to show. I think he actually, in fact, him and Dilla were very, very close. So shout out to Common, and he helped Dilla in his, last days a lot, actually. So that's very heartwarming. But with that said, this beat sucks, okay? And so that was kind of it for me. Ultimately, not a great project, very much skippable. I would say if you wanted to listen to it, just check out Spazzz. Yeah, listen to Spazzz, the first beat, which again is a dope beat, but Busta doesn't really kill it. His voice is shot. Back pain, chest pain, head pain. That's a decent song. Could have been great, but it's all right. And talk your shit, right? Sort of. Not really, but yeah. And that's it. A lot of the stuff, anyways, I won't play any of these songs ever again. And that's always the unfortunate part, right? Because ultimately, you want at least one song that you could say, oh, this recaptures the magic of why I like this guy, right? To me, it's like, I don't know why people put out projects with no great songs, with 0 great songs, right? Ideally, you should put out a project with multiple great songs. But if you're going to put out a project, at least have one great song on there. So I can say, yeah, man, I listened to this, or I bought this, or whatever, or this is one new song that is a dope song that recaptures the magic. And now I can't wait to hear you perform the song when you go on tour. Because the truth is, if Busta Rhymes has a new great song, like a fantastic song that I can genuinely add to the playlist, that's among one of his best songs, then when Busta is now touring, I'm going to go, yo, I want to hear that. I've never heard that song live. I want to go hear that shit. But now it's just like, oh, okay, well, man, I'll just go back to listening to his old shit. And then if I feel like seeing him once in a while on tour, then I'll go, right? So I think it's in their best interest to make better music, all right? Lastly, I think I'm going to end it there. But not a great album, but it is what it is. Let's take it back to better days. I almost think sometimes that, is this Busta Rhymes' best album, When Disaster Strikes? You could argue. This is the first Busta Rhymes album I ever heard, right? The Coming, I was too early for that, right? I did hear Woo-Ha like maybe 2 years later or something like that. But the first Busta Rhymes records I ever heard were from here, which was Rhymes Galore, funny enough, for whatever reason. Don't know why I heard that. That was one of the first Busta Rhymes songs I ever heard, and I loved it. And Fired Up, say Fired Up. That was huge. So, and I remember a friend of mine back in Saudi, he used to live in the US and stuff. He was American. But he had it, and I would look at the CD, and I just remember looking at the CD, and it used to creep me out. I was like, what's up with this thing? Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, love y'all, all right? Another time. Yeah.
I walk through brick walls.